Welcome to Sheikh Hamdan official channel, where today's revelation unravels a story cloaked in whispers, glances, and truths that have been aching to breathe. The palace corridors may appear silent, but beneath their polished marble lies an energy that has refused to settle. The tension between Sheikh Hamdan's wife and Shamma did not erupt overnight. Its roots run deeper than the world imagines, tangled in emotions, misunderstandings, and loyalties tested under the weight of royal expectations. From the beginning, observers felt a subtle shift whenever the two women crossed paths. It wasn't open hostility, it was something quieter, something that lived in the eyes before it lived in words. A sense of territory, pride, and the unspoken boundaries that neither dared to cross but both feared were being slowly erased. The palace, usually a place of elegance and ease, began to feel like a hall where every breath carried meaning. Whispers say it began with a moment that seemed innocent, the sharing of a poem Sheikh Hamdan wrote long before his marriage, a piece that once held Shamma's name at its edge. His wife stumbled upon it by accident, yet that discovery planted a seed she fought desperately to ignore. She read it not as a relic of the past but as a shadow stretching into the present, tinting her heart with ache and doubt. That poem, though buried, brought their simmering tension into sharper focus. Shamma, on the other hand, carried her own storm. She believed she had stepped away gracefully when Sheikh Hamdan married, letting silence become her farewell. But the poem's resurfacing stirred emotions she had locked away. She never meant to linger in the palace's stories, yet her name reappeared like an echo someone tried to suppress but couldn't. Every glance from Hamdan's wife felt like a question Shamma didn't know how to answer. As days passed, the air around them thickened. Every gathering became a battlefield of controlled expressions. A polite smile from Shamma felt like a provocation. A firm nod from Hamdan's wife felt like a warning. Those who watched from the sidelines sensed that the facade was thinning, that hidden truths were pressing too hard against the surface to remain contained. The palace staff whispered, "Something is coming," but even they could not predict how quickly things would escalate. The clash finally sparked during a private family luncheon. The room was warm, the conversation light, until Shamma casually referenced a memory from years ago, a memory involving Sheikh Hamdan. His wife stiffened. The softness in her eyes sharpened into something brittle, something she had been trying to bury all week. Her voice, usually collected, trembled with both fury and heartbreak as she questioned why Shamma still carried pieces of a story that no longer belonged to her. Shamma froze, stunned by the suddenness of the confrontation. She had expected perhaps a cold shoulder, perhaps a quiet disagreement, but never a direct challenge in a room full of watchful eyes. She tried to respond with grace, but her voice cracked with old wounds. She insisted she had moved on, that the memories she mentioned were nothing more than harmless threads from a distant past. Yet her answer only deepened the tension, for Hamdan's wife didn't hear reassurance, she heard justification. Sheikh Hamdan, caught between the two, felt his world tilt. He had never intended to create a divide between the women, yet the consequences of his past were now unfolding in front of him with a force he could no longer ignore. He asked them to calm down, but his plea sounded fragile, almost ineffective, against the tidal waves building inside both hearts. He realized too late that silence had allowed misunderstanding to grow into a monster none of them could control. After the luncheon, the palace felt colder. The echoes of raised voices lingered like ghosts. Hamdan's wife locked herself in her room for hours, rereading the poem she wished she had never seen. She felt betrayed by a memory, by a version of her husband she had never known. Deep down, she wasn't angry at Shamma alone, she was angry at the vulnerability the poem forced her to confront. It made her question her place, her. In the days that followed their conversation, the palace felt subtly transformed, still regal, still composed, but carrying an undercurrent of renewal. The tension that had once clung to every hallway like an invisible fog was gradually thinning. People whispered that something had changed between the two women, though no one knew exactly what had been said behind those doors. What they did notice, however, was a newfound quiet in the way Shamma walked, and a softer steadiness in the eyes of Sheikh Hamdan's wife. It was as if both had finally put down a heavy weight they didn't realize they had been carrying for so long. Sheikh Hamdan himself felt the shift deeply. For the first time in weeks, he saw his wife smile, a small, fragile smile, but one that reached her eyes. It reminded him that healing was possible even after storms that seemed capable of shattering everything. He watched Shamma with gratitude as she began to step back, choosing silence not out of fear but out of respect. Her presence, once a source of unspoken conflict, now became a symbol of closure. And though she knew the palace was no longer a place where she truly belonged, she walked with grace, understanding that endings can be just as meaningful as beginnings. As the palace resumed its rhythm, rumors slowly faded. Where people once speculated about rivalry and bitterness, they now sensed an unexpected peace. Sheikh Hamdan's wife began opening up to him more, sharing the insecurities she once felt afraid to voice. Her honesty breathed new life into their marriage, reminding them both that strength lies not in perfection, but in vulnerability shared without fear. And Hamdan, realizing how deeply his silence had harmed her, vowed to never again let unspoken memories create cracks in the foundation they were building. Shamma, meanwhile, found solace in returning to her own world. She spent her days focusing on work, projects, and reconnecting with parts of herself she had neglected. She knew her chapter in the palace story was not one of triumph or defeat, but of quiet transformation. The encounter had reopened wounds, yes, but it had also sparked a clarity she hadn't known she needed. She understood now that peace was not found in holding on to what once was, but in releasing it with gratitude and strength. And so, life moved forward, not untouched, not unchanged, but beautifully altered. The truth behind the tension had surfaced, but instead of tearing them apart, it brought understanding. The palace, once echoing with silent conflict, now held a gentler kind of quiet. A quiet born from truths acknowledged, hearts humbled, and courage rediscovered.